Okay, so now I am going to work on, well, I've done the patina on this guy, and I want to add it to this now, but before I touch the surface here, I want to address the pegs in the back here so I don't have to deal with it later. I don't have to do this and then turn it around and try to mess with that and maybe file and risk messing up something here, so I want to try to at least take care of these pegs. And what this is for is that you can mount this on a movement that's either made for a crown at the 4 or 3, technically 3:45-ish, or your classic 3 o'clock position. This is going to go into a watch case such as this where the crown is at 3, so I need to be sure I do that. And to be sure of that, here so it doesn't get covered as much, I am going to just quickly reference this movement. This is from SKX, and this is for a crown at the 4 o'clock, as you can see here, and if you know the SKX. So I am just going to pull this off. That's how they come off. Set that aside, and what I'm going to do is just simply reference this and see which one is it that I need to knock off. And according to this, it looks like if this is made for 4, then obviously the movement, that's the one I want to cut off, the one that's closest to the window, like this one. And consequently, put this down. So these two are probably the two closest ones that I want to knock off, and then keep those two. And which should make sense, because if we take this movement and where is the crown? The crown would normally go right over in where's it? I don't know why I can't identify. Oh, right there, right in here. So that is the 3 o'clock position. Shows this up larger hole right here. Then that should mean that because normally, what does this do? It goes in like so, right? Because it has to go into these, into the hole in the upper part here. You can see it's outlined, and right there, that's where those pegs go in. That's where that would normally go into. Let me see, I'm trying to look around my camera, right? And then the crown is down here. So if we move here, right, if we're moving this crown up, that means that hole is moving upwards. The hole that was here is also moved up now. It was turning it counterclockwise to make the crown at the 3. So that does make sense that the upper one on that dial will be removed. No, stay, sorry. And we're going to take the ones that are closer to, right, that are down this way. So this one and that one. Alright, since I know that now, I'm going to set this aside, and this thing has seen a lot of action. I probably should use a better clip, but I didn't want to mess up a good pair of tweezers, or not tweezers, clippers, I guess. So, with with this mod here. So what we're going to do is try to show it to you. I want to get as closest to as flush to the back of the dial as possible, so I don't have, when I trim it, I won't have extra piece sticking out, hopefully. So there you go. It's actually pretty easy. This thing is quite soft, but you can see I still have a little piece there left over. So then we want to take off this guy up here. Alright, so I'm going to turn this around. Hopefully I'm not messing up the back side. As flush as possible and trim it off. Like so. And there you go. So we're going to take that off. I prefer not to file it, because I don't want to risk messing up the front side here by putting this down in friction or something. So I'm wondering if maybe I can use this blade to just cleanly shear it off, cut it off. Be careful not to slip and cut your hand. If that's not working, which it doesn't seem to be, it's probably not that as easy to cut off. And I don't want to messing up the good one by, I don't know, sticking pressure in the wrong spot. I think I might have to file it down. So what we're going to do is put that down. Just get rid of those guys. They might end up scratching the front, which is not a bad idea. I thought I'd get rid of these. Let's just toss them to the side for now. Come on. Get. Okay. So we're going to lay this on here. This should be safe for this. And I'm going to just take a flat file. Something like this. And we're just going to see if I can zoom in here. Sorry for the bad lighting. I'll work with where I can. So we're going to move stuff out of the way. So we're going to just try to go across like that and file it down so it's out of frame. Just, you want to be careful with the shavings, because that's why you don't want to keep it steady, and you don't want to move that dial around, because you can imagine those metal filings that come off of this piece here. We want this to sit as flush as possible, right, with the movement later. That's why we're doing this here. You can imagine those little filings, if they get underneath the dial, they could potentially, if you start moving around, add scratches on the other underside. So once we do this, we're going to want to clear this piece of paper out. Yeah, I'm just scratching off some of the color in the back, but it won't matter. So here, let's take a look at this. If I can focus. There we go. I think that'll be flat enough. I'm gonna just take that, and where's my blower? Somewhere. It's hiding somewhere. I'm just gonna blow it by my own breath, power of my own breath. So that's better, right? Look, should be low enough. Maybe I can get it just a little more. I'm going to go down here. I don't think I have any shavings here. If I do, well, just keep it cool. Sorry, out of frame. Try to focus again. I'm trying to do this with the camera in between me and this thing here. So what I'm trying to work on, and it kind of sucks because I can't get that close to it as I want to normally. Okay, let's see here. Inside okay. And if it does get a little bit, it's going to get kind of weathered anyway, so I'm not super concerned if I was wanting to keep this down more clean. Yeah, but see, that I think that should do it. You can see that's pretty decent. If there's anything remotely sticking up, it probably won't even be enough to be an issue. So we're gonna just take care of, can I focus again, this side, because it's still, you can see it's popping up right there a little bit. You can see it's sticking its ugly head up. So let me try dusting off this piece here. Hopefully there's nothing underneath here. But the most important thing is, even if there was something underneath this dial, as long as you secure it flat, you know, and don't let it move around as you're doing this, it should be fine. So I'm going in, getting this down, so just prepping this. It's maybe quite less work than the other side. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah. So can you see that? Let's see if I can focus in on it for you. Good enough. Good enough. Okay, and the dial still good. And so I just have to patina this. I believe. Let's have a check here. It's the numbers. Primarily, it's the charge long enough. It's the numbers, the triangle, and the little markers on the outside that will basically get a similar treatment to what I did on the chapter ring here. We'll take it from there. So this is good to go. Let's see what happens into. I don't want to risk that contaminated piece here, so I'm going to put this back in here for a moment. Now, I think the next thing I'm going to do is address this with some pastels and try to get that coloring going. All right. Why don't we check this out just to make sure that I did not screw up somehow. So let's see, where is the crown? Right there on this side. So I put this in here. So you can tell, yeah, this is where it would be. The crown is at the 3 where the window is. So we're good. Just to make sure somehow I didn't have a brain fart during this process and botched up the feet. I mean, the worst case scenario would be, I just have to maybe use dial dots to hold it down, but that's not the best thing to do, to be honest. So anyways, let me see if I have time to get back to this before I have to check out. So if I can, I will hopefully get back to this and finish trying to detail this guy for you. Okay, I think I am going to try and weather this guy. Since I have a little bit of time, I'm going to go ahead and do the same method that I did this piece I showed you earlier, the previous part. I'm going to start off with the orange rust. Since the details are finer, I am thinking that it might be a good idea to possibly brush it in this time. Yeah, I'm gonna maybe use this fine Q-tip to try to get some of the orange in there first. Alright, so here, try to keep this in focus as best as I can. No promises, I'm trying to work closely here, so we're gonna let's do the outer first. Right. I'm gonna just do, can't keep this completely centered in frame. I'm gonna try to move some stuff over. Trying to go as easy on this as possible. Can't use the applicator. I think it's a little too fat. Have a seat. It's my dog. If you hear something panting in the background. And some spots can just clean up a little bit. Go around the outside like that. The numbers will be a little bit trickier, I think. That's because their numbers not such a, they have more dynamic form to some of the numbers. I can get that, see how that's going. Again, I'll have to, after this is done, excuse me, I'll likely have to apply some sort of fixative to this. Something matte. I don't want to make sure it's not shiny or even semi-gloss, because I don't want that to be on the dial. Take that, just clean up anything else on the outside if I can. So you see, I don't really go back into the powder much, because the pastels, because what I got is just enough to, I think, cover what I need here. Okay, I do need to start going back a little bit more. Just help out some spots that just are still sticking to the white. Sorry about the focus. I do have to concentrate here. And I am using gloves this time because I have direct contact with the dial, and unlike the other piece I was working on, which I can touch the stainless steel case that it was in, you don't want to add any kind of fingerprints to any of this stuff. And totally possible. Let's go back, get a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, if you look closely at the way Lacquer does their kind of patina loom, it looks kind of like this. I don't think in some cases they might actually be using a cream or vintage patina loom formula paint. which will probably look a lot more even. Right, but not. I mean, what I've observed, it doesn't seem to be the case. You can definitely see some texturing going on, and just clean it what I can, because I don't want to overdo it. And still have to add slightly burnt, rust to it, some sort of color to tone it in. But yeah, but you look closely at the way they do, like the Erbstruck. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Or they, what did I say? The Rad Ox, the one that's like from Fallout, supposedly. If it were in the Fallout world, that's what it would look like. It definitely is much more textured and uneven, which is fine. I'm trying to replicate that. That kind of makes my life a little easier, doesn't it? The trick later, and I'll probably reiterate this once it comes time to put the fixative on this, is that if that spray that I would use is aerosol, it comes out strong, it probably will, there's a good chance it could blow off some of this stuff too, which has happened in some other applications I've done. Not specifically like this dial kind of patina thing that I'm doing now, but some other models that I've been working on in the past. Okay, that. Around, let's try to clean up some spots here. Sorry, off camera. I'm trying to do this around the camera so I can show you guys what I'm doing, give you a better idea of like how I'm applying this. And then these are tricky. I'm just gonna have to just, rub it on top. Some of it's gonna get kind of out there. Fine, like this right there. See that? Oops. Well, we're just gonna try it. Rub that away. So I am trying to just keep on the numbers as much as possible. Maybe I should go like in the direction of the numbers like this. It's like, it's like this direction. So lessens the chance, the opportunity for the pastels to kind of go beyond the borders of the numbers. That's the general look. Let me see, maybe I can brighten this up so you can see when I'm in the shadows a little bit. Let's see which direction, like that. Let's see what side was I working on? Okay. So, we're gonna try and go, you just kind of touch and dab it, and hopefully some rubs off onto the numbers as you need to. I have to blow this off camera. I wonder if I can take this brush and help me out here. Help out a little bit. Or is it just gonna jack up my stuff anyways? I'm just worried how sensitive the dial is to any kind of friction. That's what we got so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to guess I'm halfway basically done with this. I am going to cut this and just kind of finish it off on my own on the side. You get the idea of what's going on here. And that way I can get up closer and then I'll show it to you in a little bit. Alright. Okay, so this is where I'm at after finishing the orange rust color. And let me see if I can flash another picture back of like an abstract on the side. And I think you'll agree it kind of looks like that tone, right? Some parts are still white. That isn't supposed to be the loom that's kind of degrading to a patina. And yeah. So now we're going to go in and try and work on darkening up some of it just with a bit of rust. Yeah, so it's kind of crumbly, which isn't the best thing. But okay, so I have a new brush tip for that. You alright, me, sir? Yeah, in there. It's my dog. Trying to get this stuff done. How should I approach this? Should I actually? I guess I'll do something similar. Let's see what happens. Take some of this. Right. Then carefully lift this up. Smear the top. But see if I can zoom in here a little bit more. I'm gonna do something off to the side. Maybe that won't be such an eye catcher if I jack it up. Okay, there's a little something there. Again, there's a little something there. This requires a little bit of patience here, just to get it just the right amount of dirtiness on this. Add a little bit more of that darker rust color. Let's see what happens. I think it serves to help tone down the orange I just applied over it, I think. Take the brush and kind of clear it off a little bit. Trying to get this in here as subtly as possible. And it's tricky. It is tricky. Trying to get that. Obviously it's going out a little bit and I'll have to kind of blend and try to mix it back in together. Come on. Sometimes it seems like it's not coming off. Something, so it's not. It's always blended in a little bit. This is going to be a tricky one. Don't want to overdo this. Triangle. The key is to just try to do it soft and subtle as possible. You can always this. Can always go back with a little bit more later. But it's harder job to remove if you need to. Trying to get some more brown down in this 30, sorry, the framing. Okay, I think that's enough there. And the last thing on this dial later is I have to be careful about it, because if you notice in some of the pictures, like right around the center where right here, it seems like it gets lighter. It's faded out for some reason because of tritium or something that would be tritium. I don't know, I guess. Okay. So I think try to do is just use this brush carefully, remove any excess, if anything, just try to blend it into the background. And I think the hope is, and I'm pretty sure this will be the case, is that even though you see some from this camera, you might be able to see some stuff. It seems like, oh, you went a little bit too much on the outside or something. With some of this pastel, it wasn't precise, but I'm trying to blend it in, and I think once I get the fixative, you just kind of coat it with that clear coat of a matte, and it may give it a little bit of a grainy texture, which actually isn't going to be too bad. It might help out. That'll help unify the look and kind of blend in or obscure a lot of the maybe the sloppiness. Let's see, let's pull back a little bit. And let me tone this down if I can slightly. Let's see. Maybe I might show up a little bit better here for you. I gotta remember, put this guy back. So what do you think? Be careful with these feet in the back too. I might be bending them out or something. Let's see. Something I might need to just carefully correct. I hope I don't bend it and break it. Well, I'm not going to deal with that just yet. But that is something to just note. I have to make an adjustment to the little feet in the back here later. The main thing is first just getting this look. I think it's looking about right. Now we're going to add a little bit of soot to this. I need to use another one, but actually I didn't use this one. So we're going to get some of this up here. You can see it's called soot, and that's perfect for creating some of that charred kind of look. Okay, I'm gonna have to wrap up soon too, but some of them have like this little bit more of a, I guess, a burnt texture to them. And I want to really be subtle with this. I don't want to overdo this, black out too much. I think. Is this in focus enough? Shit, sorry. Let's grab this a little more powder. Just try to carefully, drop sort of dusted on there. I don't want to too much smeared either. Delicate work. You can understand why maybe Lacquer charges nearly around $2,000 for special versions that has something like this going on. Okay, I'm not going to do it to all of them. It's kind of sparse, intermittent. I think I got some there, so let's maybe just try to attack something right up here a little bit. I don't want to touch that triangle this time. Okay. Then I'm going to try to lighten this up, and I'm thinking the best thing might be a little bit of this rust right in the middle, like that. Just kind of pat it around, get some of that. I just want it to look like it's fading out around the center. See that? I don't know if it's, maybe it might show up better. I'm just trying to blot it around as evenly as possible so it looks like it's, you don't want to look like it's painted on there, right? You want to look like it's naturally just kind of been wearing out. Can you see that? Let me brighten it up a little bit. That might give you an idea. See that? And I want to try to hopefully make it as, this is really hard. My camera's directly on the back of my hand. So sorry if you can't see, but I'm trying to show you and do this a decent job. There we go. That's the look what we're going for. Just kind of like that, the black paint that would be on the dial. It's just starting to fade out over, I don't know, sun exposure, or is there a particular concentration of tritium or something that, you know, doesn't it kind of burn the paint or burn it out, fade it? Just kind of go around, soften it as much as possible. There we go. And let's see if I brush around it, maybe that would soften it a little bit more. Yeah, try to do something like that. So again, I'm using this camera. Back it up a little. See, so I took a little bit more of this rust up in this corner here. Just dabbing the tip, and then I'm popping it in the center here, where it'll get the most highlight. And then I want it to more or less rapidly fade as it goes out, but you know, gently too. You don't want it to look like too abrupt. I think that will do it. And if I maybe just take this, I don't know, you know, it's all improvised. A little bit of my experience. Let's add some small more bit center again. Okay. I don't know if you can see that there. Gonna tap and soften any of the soot that I put on the outside. like on that 40, there's a lot kind of on there. At least it looks like it from some angles. So just gonna gently kind of phase that out a little bit on that 50 up here. Right there, down this 25 at the marker. Okay, let's see. Let's just look. I think that's pretty decent. And I think, imagine that paired together with this. I think that'll work out pretty well. You can sort of envision it. Let me back up a little bit. And let's tone it down. I gotta wrap things up because people are coming home and I need to get some other shit done. Come on, lighten up here. Lighten up, or darken rather. There we go. I think that's a pretty good match. Give it that rustic look. Okay, let's see. I can quickly pull this cover off so maybe you can get a more direct look. And then envision the two together without that plastic on top of it. Okay, let's brighten it up a little bit again. Let's brighten it up a little bit again. Right about there, maybe. Turn it around. So it'll be, this will be inset a little bit below that level. As you can see, this piece is raised up a bit. But I think that'll look pretty good. Yeah, that should do it. And then I got a patina. One more set here. These hands. They'll be a little tricky because ideally they should really be. These are like Sin 104, Sin 104 style syringe hands. It should be really in the middle. So I'm gonna have to be really careful in the applications, or at least find some way to clean it up on the outside if it does. But I think I can do it. It should be doable. All right, I gotta wrap up. So let's close this. This is separate. So once I get the, I'll try to show the hands next when I get a chance. And then once those are done, then I'm ready to do fixative on this. I'm gonna have to mask this off. This one I can just set somewhere, hopefully secure. And the hands I can secure onto something, and I'm gonna just try to gently add some fixative onto here to hold the pastels and this weathering on. Once that's set, then the next thing is to reinstall the crystal and then try to seal this case up a bit so that I can start to add some darkening to it to help age that metal, and I'll probably sand it or something to help with that. Should be interesting. Thanks for watching. Laters.